sure what. Then we'll call the meeting to order. So I'll open the floor for nominations for the officer of chairman for the current year. Do we have any nominations for chairman?
I'll nominate Tom.
Second.
Okay. We have a nomination for Tom Wilmore as chairman, seconded by Mr. Fournier. Do we have any other nominations for chairman? Now, I'll close the floor for nominations for the officer of chairman, and we'll take it to a vote. Earl?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it, and Mr. Wildoner,
Alright.
we need a, I'll turn the meeting over to yourself.
Now we need a nomination for vice president.
We have a nomination for vice chair.
Is the current person still interested in?
That person is no longer with us.
Oh, it's open.
Yeah, it's an open position. As well as the secretary is gonna be an open position also.
I'll nominate Earl.
I'll second that.
All right, nomination for Earl as vice chairman.
It's a big
Earl, do you accept
responsibility.
that?
I'll accept.
Okay. Anybody opposed? All right, secretary. We need a nomination for secretary.
I'll nominate Rick. There's no paperwork involved.
Just so
That's
you-
good, thank you.
I'll second.
All right, motion for Rick Flory as secretary, seconded. Any objections? All right. So we have Tom as chair, Earl as vice chair, and Rick as our secretary for the current year. Now, Mr. Chairman, you want to call the meeting to order?
Call the meeting, Carver County Parks and Recreation Commission to order. I pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See, there's a spot on here for you, Chris, right? So you don't want to be heard now.
Not till number 7.
Okay, buddy. Approval of minutes of December 11th.
Seems like a year since we've been here.
Excuse me?
It seems like a year since
Right,
we've been
it's-
here.
Yeah.
11
So this would
months.
be at the December 11th board meeting, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Probably moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, we got 2 need point of order. New board members won't be able to vote on the minutes
They
because
won't.
they weren't physically present.
Yeah.
To attest to them, yeah.
But I can read good. Apparently,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minute.
A second. And then we got,
You two can do it though, you and Earl. You vote to approve the minutes.
Tom wasn't present at the last week, December 11th meeting.
Wow.
I'll make a motion and I'll second it.
You can, yeah, the first and the second is fine, it's voting.
I was just trying to move it
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. No, there's folks out here will check your parliamentary procedures, you know? Mhm.
I believe in those.
well, I guess probably moved to second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got it, yeah. Where we at now? Vouchers?
Yeah, there is updated expense reports in there for you,
Yeah.
and that's.
It's hard to lick your finger to turn a page.
That's what I
You
was,
need a little
yeah.
sponge.
That's what I was just thinking.
So for January, and again, it was updated since I sent it in the mail, it's not much of a change, but January, we had expenses totaling $33,332.70. So you'll have your summary there for January, and then in December, because we did not have a January meeting, the expenses for the month of December were $54,083.98. So you'll have your summary and detail of the expense reports there.
Building materials was that for the pavilion, Dave? Mainly.
I'm not sure, Earl, if it was for the pavilion or if it was just miscellaneous. Which?
Yeah, that wouldn't have been in January, it would have been. Jeez. that would have
For
been-
January or December? For January or December, Earl?
Well, it's under January, December, January to December 20th. I think that materials were bought long before that.
Where you at, Earl?
Yeah, are you talking about the month of January or the month of December?
January. Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't think there's anything in January.
No, there isn't.
What was the vet, which? Who was the vendor?
I was looking at the actual budget versus actual.
Oh. So the budget versus actual, that's just for what we spent for the year.
Yeah, I don't
Under
see
buildings,
building,
maintenance supplies, no, that wasn't.
I
that
don't
wasn't-
see building materials in December or,
Yeah, no, that wasn't all for the pavilion, no. That was for the entire year, for all, building supplies that we needed for the various buildings. Whether it was restrooms or shower facilities.
Do we have any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills.
That's you, Earl.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
All those in
Sorry, I
favor?
didn't get to really look at this too good at home.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So who made the motion? It was,
Earl.
seconded by Rick.
I think that was vice versa.
I wasn't here.
Just do the best you can there, David.
Oh, we get over this hump over this meeting, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner?
I do have one question on the bills, Dave.
Uh-huh.
Back to the septic removal again. Are they called on an as-needed basis now?
No, we have we put that float
Right.
alarm in there, so whenever the light goes off, we'll have them pump it out.
So they're called as needed?
They're called when the light goes on, yeah,
Right,
and I think it's
okay.
set for like 3/4 of the way, just to give us some
Okay.
push in there. Now, we called them to come in today because we looked at the last I called was Saturday when I was in for the polar plunge. When I did my round in the morning, I noticed the light was on.
Oh, okay.
So, with the storms that were coming up,
Yeah,
I called,
Mhm.
and they came out that day on Saturday to pump, so this light's gonna go on probably usually it's like every.
Can you move your car so the pooper pumper can get in?
I thought I left him, I thought I left
Are you
him.
by me there?
He's a truck driver if I ever saw one.
So usually
I could
it's
go
about
through
every-
there
Teach them a
sideways.
lesson, yeah. I parked away because I knew that might be an issue.
I'll be called next to move mine, I'll say, hold on a second.
You think?
No, I hope not.
Now we lost our motion guy.
You're right, yeah.
Dave, I forgot, who's responsible for the parking lot? The parking lots, paving, the parking lots.
Paving would be us,
That's
yeah.
us, yeah.
Which parking lots, like, we're at, Rick?
Well, Old Launch B is a little rough.
Yeah. Yeah, we put in for a grant, we're waiting to hear from the boating facilities grant with the Pennsylvania
Oh,
Fish and
good,
Boat
yeah, I
Commission.
figured there might be some help there, that would be awesome.
So that was submitted in December. And we're waiting to hear, hopefully we'll secure the funding, but that was a part of it.
Did you drive it out for him,
Yeah, it's in rough shape.
Earl?
Yeah,
Pardon?
Did you drive it out for
you
him?
know,
Yeah.
we decided to buy the plastic piers, Tommy remembers that, that was a big decision, boy, they held up through all the years of it.
Jeez, huh?
They backed up what they said.
Pardon?
I'm talking about when we got the new piers, you know, the plastic ones, we really,
The
gave a
easy
lot of
docks
thought
system.
into that, we thought, well, they're selling us a bill of goods, but they've held up all these years from the old wooden docks.
Right?
Commissioner?
Ready? All right, so I have more than a handful of things. But first and foremost, you have a packet of information, and this is looking at 2018 through 2020, right? The approximate budget over those 3 years was kind of triple nickel, about $555,000. And you can see there on your list where the majority of that revenue came from to support that camping, the beach and gate fees, and importantly, the hotel tax, right? We get a disbursement from the hotel tax here in Carbon County of $150,000 a year. Now, a little bit of analysis of, you know, what's the camping situation. If you go to page 2, you can see there's over 7,600 rentals that took place. That's individual campsites, group campsites, and the cabins. It does not include the pavilions, the 3 pavilions. Looking at it, you see about 72% of the rentals actually come from PA residents, right? And then if you look at the following states below Pennsylvania, the New Jersey, New York, and Delaware, that's pretty much consistent with the tourism models. You know, who's coming to Carbon County to visit? And if you go down a little bit further, you see kind of an average revenue per year that comes in based upon simply the rental. Now you will see kind of 197 in 2020, well we did, but the numbers are down. But what happened was there was a fee increase last year. Is that correct, Dave? That we instituted. So that made up for some of maybe the shortcomings in the revenue. Because remember, we kind of cut back initially what we were having in the park, you know, because of COVID. If you go to the next page, right, that's a look at Pennsylvania and specifically Carbon County. So again, 72% of the overall came out of Pennsylvania. Only 13% of our campers are actually from Carbon County. And this is all based on zip codes, right? Now, Lehigh and Jim Thorpe, they take the bulk of those. They're a little over 50% of the individuals who use Mock Chunk Lake Park. Now, there's a couple of onesies and twosies that aren't on this chart right here. But that makes up the preponderance of individuals from Carbon County who are using a park. Remember that for the camping sites, this is over a 3-year period. You go to the next slide, and then you get a little bit of details of where people are camping. And Dave, is it correct, 104 individual sites, 4 group and 15 cabin?
Yeah,
Oh,
it sounds.
okay, all right, yeah, I keep counting the numbers, it looks good,
What was
right?
that breakdown again, 104?
104 individuals, 4 group sites, and then 15 cabins.
Mhm.
Yeah, and those group sites are kind of unique, because they're actually double sites, right? They're actually 2 sites, like a C1 and a C2, is that correct?
But the C group site C and D
Yeah.
have 3 separate sites.
Right.
And A and B have 5
Yeah.
separate sites, so.
Yeah, so they're almost like clusters.
Yep, and then we
Yeah.
also use them as like overflow sites for holiday weekends.
Yeah. Yep. And interesting as you look at the data, you can interpret it any way you want. You know, Carbon County residents tend to prefer the cabins for some crazy reason, you know? And then lastly, on the last page, you kind of have a look at family and individual beach swim memberships. I didn't break this down by the number of people. If someone had just queried me and said, hey, what does it look like when it comes to memberships for going to the beach and stuff like that? So just looking at it dollars there. And what's the so what about all this? Was we continue to look at balancing the budget and ensure the park is taking in revenue. You gotta know where to look, where you could potentially squeeze out a few more dollars, and who you wanna get a few more dollars out of. And I know Dave's gonna talk about another area in which we're raising revenue this year. I will say in regards to revenue, I spoke to Carbon Chamber and Economic Development Corporation, who handles our hotel tax distribution, and I am advocating for another $50,000. Now Marlene Kistner is also, who's at the CCEDC, going up to Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. You know, kind of, there's this, the hotel taxes work through PMVB and CCEDC. So I am advocating for about another $50,000 in the budget. This year's budget is just over $700,000, which is on the books right now, and we'll see how that plays out. So again, that's a snapshot of analysis. After this summer, bear in mind, we are going, for beach access and swimming, we are going to credit card, right? We're moving away as much as possible from cash. That's gonna provide us the data to start looking at, you know, where are the people coming from who are using the beach? We know anecdotally, the majority of them are coming from outside of Carbon County, right? You can go there anytime and get that sense. But again, we want the data to show that, and then again, start looking at the revenue generation. You know, what is a fair price for the beach access? We did increase out of county rates last summer. I think we went to 10 and 7, something like that is where we went. There's no plan, at least from the commissioners, to want to continue to increase prices beyond what they are now. But again, as there's financial pressures on the park, we got to be looking out, you know, how you maximize dollars. It may be raising prices by camping area. We know we're the highest usage. All the sites along the lake, and those couple cabins that are right around the hook there also. So in the future, may need to look at, well, it's not simply you're paying, you know, $10 or whatever it is for a campsite. It might be based upon location, you know, a premium location and stuff like that. Again, just things to have in our mind as financial challenges, you know, pop up from here or there. Keep in mind, we have just over 100 days till opening day, right? Memorial Day is the 31st this year. You open up formally on Saturday, correct? But Friday, kind of, folks can start rolling in for camping and stuff like that. And as I know Tom and Dave, I think everyone knows, we always have a problem with lifeguards. You had one call already on someone. So again, we would ask your help in advocating and reaching out to folks who might have an interest in, you know, being a lifeguard out here at Mock Chunk Lake Park. Dave, as he did last year, will be kind of turning every stone over to find opportunities to get them the training they need if they're not already certified. For guys just coming on to the commission, understand that we do reimburse lifeguards for the training and certifications. That's something we started last year. you know, they're gonna have to pay it up front, but then we go ahead and take care of that. Correct? So again, I'm gonna ask your help,
Is there anybody repeating, this year, coming back from last year?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, they're all interested in returning, yeah.
There used to be the board members who would be on the board to appoint people. We used to have a lot of people wanting the job back in the day, but, how many do we need total?
We're looking to fill, I believe, 6 positions.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can reach out to Northern Lehigh, I see their pool's closed, maybe we can get some.
Yeah, someone-
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
targeting the swimming, coaches and
Yeah.
teachers, yeah, that would
Yeah, keep in mind, we have potentially one additional pool opening in Carbon County this summer. All right, we'll see if it materializes, you know, up in Lansford, you know, but again, you know, Nathan Helena and those guys, friends of the pool or something, I know, you know, they're dead set on getting it operational. So that creates both a challenge and an opportunity when it comes to lifeguards in regards to that. Dave, you guys gotta start thinking about capacity restrictions again for this season. It actually worked out, other than the revenue shortfall, which really didn't have anything to do, honestly, with the cap that we had on beachgoers, but expect to do the same thing, have a cap. Now, that would not necessarily be the same way we did it this past summer, where it was season pass holders, pavilion renters, campers, and county residents, probably just a flat, was it 800?
I believe it was 400 for when it was the yellow phase.
Right.
And I think it might have been 600 for the
600.
green phase.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at the
Yeah.
Department of Health website.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Trying to get an idea for where we.
What guidance they're gonna have.
What guidance they're gonna have,
Yeah.
what the restrictions are gonna be as far
Yeah.
as the limitations, whether it's 50% or 75%.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's subject to
Yeah.
change. What it is now might be a lot different than as we get closer to camping
Right,
season.
yeah.
So, yeah, for sure, we'll have to, you know, think about, you
Yeah.
know.
Are we thinking about county residents only again, is that?
Well, I'll tell you what, with county resident, quote unquote county residents only, because other than just in the red phase for a couple weeks, we were never just county residents, right? Because we always included campers,
and.
you know, pavilion renters and stuff like that. So I try to break that myth, so people don't think we're being exclusive, you know, and not. But what I had asked Dave to think about is, we would like to have the commission consider and look into over the next 2 months, a county resident day. 1 day a week in which we can kind of, if you're a camper, a pavilion renter, etc., or a county resident, that is your day for the beach. Be it, you know, every Wednesday is quote unquote county resident day, right? We'd like to ensure we're giving back to the community that is overall has been investing in this park, you know, since 1969 when they were kind of breaking ground for it. So we would ask the commission to look about, you know, does it make sense that we can have a Carbon County day? You know, again, you gotta balance revenue generation, right? So, you know, it may be the low income day when it comes to beach and gate access and stuff like that. But we would ask to consider that. But there is no plan to limit to county residents only this year. But we do see a need, you know, let's give back to our local community and get them excited about Mock Chunk Lake Park.
Are you saying that would be a free day for the residents?
We would ask the recommendation of the commission. If it were me, tell you what, on that day, I'd let county residents in free. That's just me. You know, again, I look at the revenue models though, because again,
Right.
you wanna stay as close to your budget as possible, you know?
Yeah.
So what would you normally get, let's say, on a Wednesday of county residents versus, you know, out of town?
Yeah, well, my
Yeah.
thing on promotions like that, you gotta be careful, you know, that you just don't get the people coming back and they're not gonna join and they're gonna do that, so it might be with parameters, you
Yeah.
know, for the month of.
Yeah.
This, so I'm thinking like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Cause if they come 3 or 4 times and don't
Yeah.
see the value.
That's
then,
right,
you know,
yeah.
so.
And that is, and Rick, thank you for hitting on this, because part of this is trying to get people to come back, try it out, but then they convert into people who are gonna buy a family membership, cause you know what? The kids have been here 3 weeks in a row, and now it's 92 degrees and it's August and it's 90% humidity, and they wanna come back to the lake.
And Dave, you can be up in the booth that day and hand them, you know, membership
Or
things.
whatever, you
I'm
know.
kidding you. I'm
No, but
kidding.
the Rangers that work the booth do hand out
They would
the
do that,
applications
yeah,
there.
no,
Yeah,
cause
yeah.
you wanna hit on them.
Yeah,
when they're-
so we would ask, yeah, and that's great, so we would ask you at least consider that, and then, 2 months from now, when we come back together, if there is a recommendation to move forward, let's go
Yeah,
ahead.
and it's newsworthy,
With
say,
it,
for
yeah.
the month of July on Mondays,
Yeah.
county residents.
Free entry up until we hit our
Yeah,
capacity.
cause if you keep it going
limit.
without perimeters, then people who are paying could get under, you know. as well.
I personally think, and he can tell you, I've been a season pass holder here for longer I
Yeah.
can remember.
Yeah,
And at the price of the season pass, I don't think we should be giving it for free.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion
Yeah.
there. Even if you charge $4 or $5 or $3 to
Yeah.
come in, I think that's more than affordable.
Yeah.
And then the other thing on that is, if you have people from New York in the campground,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to allow them to the beach too on that way.
we do, we know,
You
that's
can't-
what I say.
But I don't think it should be for free.
Yeah.
I don't,
I will
That's my
tell you
opinion.
what we found this summer is, Carbon County residents are willing to pay for a quality experience. And that's what they had this past year.
Right.
No one said, I want it free. Matter of fact, most people who came back on social media and called us and emailed us said, I would be willing to pay more for the same experience I had this summer. And it was about, again, the park wasn't crowded, it wasn't rowdy, it was well controlled, you had physical space.
Yeah,
That, you know,
to that point, you know, years ago as well, that little fee that we charge, I think it's extremely reasonable.
It is.
But like when Bellsville's water would be bad or something, it protected us from getting the influx
Sure.
of the freebies, just that little
Yeah.
price, so.
Yeah.
No, that's, I would say, again, and I agree, it's a steal, but it would be, if we did that, I would favor maybe a promotion or
Yeah.
once, twice, no more than 3
All right.
times. you know.
Now, again, that's up to you
Yeah.
guys to make a recommendation, if any, to us.
And that's coming in the future, so.
Yeah, so tied to that are activities, right? We're trying to create a psychological, a social relationship between Carbon County residents and Mock Chunk Lake Park. That is the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds who are at the park today. 8 years from now, they're gonna wanna be lifeguards, right? So how do you attract those families here? Quite honestly, it's offering them something more than just going to the beach and swimming. That might be like we did last summer with the education center right here, bringing them down. It's about activities that are gonna bring in the type of people we wanna attract to Mock Chunk Lake Park, which is Carbon County residents who we're trying to build a relationship with. Because we wanna create our own human resource pool of lifeguards. I spoke to all the lifeguards last year, and they said, kids no longer have a relationship with Mock Chunk Lake Park when they're young. They're not up there saying, I wanna be a lifeguard in 8 years. That's really cool. But we wanna create that, and we have to bring those kids in young. It's a medium to long-term plan, but we gotta start somewhere. So we would ask that the commission looks at, what could we do to further enhance, let's call them the extracurricular activities that will bring in folks, locals, back to Carbon County, Mock Chunk Lake Park. I will say, Dave, there is an opportunity for a free intern through the SLIP program to do as an activities director, social media, the public relations piece. I just need you guys to consider that. We'll work it through Gary Wentz in his office. That's a free intern to kind of take any good initiative you guys might come up with, take the ball and run with it. So,
Did you have interns before? They were,
No, we haven't had interns. We had somebody who was working, it was kinda like an internship, but he wasn't like an activities coordinator. This, I think the focus is having this person just focus solely on.
yeah, so because we don't want to put additional burden on the existing staff, right? We have an opportunity for a paid intern, a college kid to come in at 11, 12 bucks an hour, whatever
Yeah,
the
I
split
think
program
that's
is
an
paying,
awesome idea.
and let them run with it.
Is
Yes,
this an ad hoc, opportunity, or could this be, consistent?
well, every year the slip program's there, the county uses it every year,
Okay.
right?
But just for something to count on if we, you know.
And it is, I mean, as long as, Gary and before him, Sedlin and stuff, they used it every year, for different county offices. The commissioners always have someone who comes in as part of the program. And again, all it takes, our investment is mentoringship and, leadership to direct that person. Again, so again, if there's an interest, again, 2 meetings from now, we need to have a firm decision, boom, and we'll get that, documentation out to you all, and we can move ahead with that.
And is that through workforce training, the SWIP program?
Well, through workforce development, yes.
Okay.
Through that, it's simple 2 forms that have to be filled out. They're like 3 or 4 pages long. Let me see, matter of fact, I think I might.
Yeah, we usually get summer help for the maintenance staff through this program.
Okay.
So again, there it is, but Gary Wentz can provide the details on that. Lastly, park expansion. You may not have seen the commissioners meeting, would have been, 2 weeks ago. We're contracting with the Conservancy and a couple other organizations to begin looking at how we can get funding and what options are out there to increase our, let's say, easements in regard to agricultural land and open space. And part of that is, how do we continue to increase and protect Mock Chunk Lake Park? And part of that is buying property, all right? So there's a significant study that we'll be starting here in the next couple of months to help us figure out, how we can go ahead and do that. So I'd ask you just be considerate of that. When you see, the farm across the street's up for sale, right? We need to be thinking about, what is the possibility, and does that fit the vision for Mock Chunk Lake Park? And again, continuing to protect the watershed and stuff like that. But we're gonna push that really hard. The county's gonna have some additional money, quote unquote, for economic development we expect will be coming in. We believe that we can use some of that funds, economic development fund, as kind of preservation support efforts, because we have a significant return on investment of our natural environment, right? That's what attracts people here, that builds the economy in Carvin County. So just be conscientious of that coming down, over probably the next 6 to 9 months as that study takes place. All right, that's all I have for now.
That's all?
Yep. Yeah, I kinda. It's been like 3 months though, since we've talked, so.
That's pent up energy.
Yeah, it is,
coming out.
yeah.
Mark,
There is a nice farm for sale across the road.
Yes, there is, yep.
Oh, yeah, the first item.
That's
under-
off the market for now.
Oh, is it?
He went down south for the winter and he's not coming up so he took it off the market.
No kidding. Mr. Robinshaw's farm.
Yeah, that's off the market now. And besides that, the kid took some of it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter, she took, I don't know how much, but,
Wow.
so, that'll be up for sale again probably
I'm shocked it's still there.
in May or June. Well, you had an offer and I don't know, something happened. They had an offer a day after they put it up for sale.
Can I do an alibi, Dave? We are gonna have some camping competition probably as early as next year. There's gonna be a new campground opening in Jim Thorpe. Well, we don't have a non-disclosure agreement about it, I don't wanna go into many details, but it's probably gonna hold a couple hundred people. So that's
Flight staff.
No,
Oh.
no. Matter of fact, I discount that one. I didn't be honest,
Yeah, that's another one.
but there's another one along the river, that is nascent, so, that is moving forward. We recently had a meeting on that one, so that might, again, it's just, thinking about what impact that may or may not have. All right. Sorry, Dave.
That's all right. First item under park operations would be the food stand RFP, request for proposals that the commissioners have put out for the food stand. They were looking for a 3-year agreement, and the minimum proposal for year one would be $5,000. Minimum proposal would be $5,000 for year two, and year three, the minimum proposal would be $5,500. So it is for a three-year lease agreement for the operation of the food and refreshment stand down at the beach. It's been advertised.
Did you get any bites, Chris?
It's a couple visitors, right, Dave?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, advertised on February 3rd, and it will be advertised again on the February 18th, and proposals are due 3:30 p.m. Friday, February 26th, submitted to the Carbon County Commissioner's Office.
Were they local, established?
So I got three people that have inquired, are interested in it. They did receive the packets, the bid packets, and I had one meeting yesterday at 4 o'clock to show the food stand. It is a requirement that they visit the food stand prior to submitting a proposal. And then I have two others coming in at, one's at 1 o'clock today and the other's at 3 o'clock today. So we have, 3 people so far that have been, showed interest in it.
Are they established food vendors in the area or not?
That I don't know. They do have to submit, with their proposal, like a proposer's information page, ask for references, also about any work experience, related work experience that they might have dealing with, preparation of food.
Right,
So,
now with the pandemic too, it's another
Yeah, right.
regulations and
Mhm.
stuff.
so how much experience they have, I don't know that at this point. We would know more when they submit the proposal with the, with their information sheet.
Does that include the electric?
There is a clause in there for, a section in there for electric. Electric would be $80 per month. So no, what they propose would not include the electric. The electric would be an addition. It's $80 per month for a total of $240 for the year for electric.
Boy, that seems awful cheap.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a building that has 3-phase, my bottom bill is $80, the minimum if I don't use the power. Is that 3-phase in there?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't think so, but, it's not metered separately though.
It may be metered separately.
I believe it is, because we had Jason come out here and plot a lot of meters.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
meters, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's connected to the, to the area lighting down there
Yeah.
that goes on at night, if that's part of it, but I know there is a separate meter down there.
Remember, this does not include the camp concession,
Right.
right? This is, that's up for next year.
Mm.
But this could impact the camp concession, depending on what Mr. Brown decides to do, who holds the concession for both right now,
Correct.
Didn't he want it this year?
Well, I will know in a couple weeks, I guess, We'll know, yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't said one way or the other to us. We haven't talked to him since, I think, October.
The commissioners decided to put this out, seek proposals, give other people the opportunity to, put a bid in on it. And the payment schedule is the same as it always been. The first payment will be due 10 days after Memorial Day. Second payment will be due 10 days after July 4th, and then the final payment 10 days after Labor Day. It's split up into 2 payments. Any questions on the RFP? I'll leave it here if anybody wants to take a look at it after the meeting.
Was that advertised like in the local paper?
Yeah, it was in the Times News the other day.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that.
I have the dam inspection report here as well. I'll leave a copy of it here on the table for everybody to review if anybody wants to take a look at it after the meeting. This was done by Sean Wheeler. He's a registered professional engineer with the Fish and Boat Commission. These inspection reports are then submitted to DEP, the Division of Dam Safety. So I have the cover letter here that was sent to the Eastern Section Division of Dam Safety, Bureau of Waterways, Engineering and Wetlands. And it was performed on November 18th, 2020. Usually they do this, later in the year. There's some areas that they're monitoring as far as like minor vegetation issues. Slight rutting from walking path along the dam. I think they're talking about on the top there. They don't have it marked as repair, they just have it marked as monitor. So here's another previously eroded footpath above the riprap, so there's an area there, I think maybe where the control tower is, where people tend to walk, up and down. They have it marked as monitor. There is a spring down below the dam. There is no hydraulic connection between the spring and the dam. In fact, that wet area there was actually referenced in the original report when the dam was completed back in 1960.
I was gonna say, that's the one that's been there.
Yeah, that's been there, and but they continue to monitor it, but there is no connection between the wet area and the dam. And the biggest thing would be they do have plans to they're gonna contract with the commercial diver. They want to look at the outlet works. They want to conduct an outlet works inspection, hopefully in the spring of 2021. They've been, after this for a while. Based on some, previous inspections, they noticed that the pool level was down a little bit. They're not sure whether it's weather related, whether we had, just a dry season, not enough rainfall, or if the gate maybe just needs to be adjusted, have a slight adjustment to have it seated more properly. So they're planning on having a dive contractors come in there, to take a look at that, the outlet works inspection in the spring of 2021. So I'll leave that here. Reservations. Opening day of reservations on January 4th this year, we took in $17,125. That was for the first day of reservations that we had. Reservations are steadily coming in. I took a look at the numbers this morning. Tent camping is actually, we're way ahead with tent camping. Cabin rentals is pretty much about the same, but we've seen an increase this year over last year with tent camping revenue coming in. And the season this year will run April 16th is the opening day for our camping season. It generally coincides with the first day of the statewide trout opening. And then the last night for camping would be October 23rd. That would be the last night for camping, Saturday the 23rd. And then we would start shutting everything down, winterizing the park at that point in time. Any questions on the camping? Boat mooring, county did approve the boat mooring rates that, we had all talked about. And the boat mooring rates were adjusted, they were increased. There was a minimum of 2 spaces put in place for boat mooring spaces because of the high demand and popularity.
Maximum.
A maximum, a maximum of 2 spaces per person. So, they can't rent anymore. One person can't rent 4 or 5 spaces. We did look at that. And last year, the mooring spaces were sold out. We didn't have any left available. We did send letters out to everyone. As we discussed, we would give everybody until Friday, March 19th, the opportunity to renew their space for the year. And then beginning meeting on March 20th. Anybody that has not renewed their space, those spaces would be made available for, for rent. So we have had payments coming in, already, and we've had some people calling saying that, they didn't like their spot. They're gonna maybe take a shot at, getting a different one on the 20th. But we've had mooring payments now coming in for the past few days. Missy had got the letters sent out, I think it was at the end of, right at the end of January.
Is the second mooring permit the same cost as the first?
No, it was $50 for the first spot for county residents, so there was not an increase for county residents for mooring unless they had a second spot. Then it was a $10 increase, it increased to $60 for a county resident to get a second boat mooring space. For non-county residents, it went from up to $80. $80 for the first spot for a non-county resident, and then it was $100 for the second spot for a non-county resident. Any questions on the boat mooring? Under park maintenance, the park staff has been down at the food stand when we can in between the snow plowing. It's just been crazy lately with the snow and trying to get all the parking lots cleared, getting the dumpsters, snow removed from in front of the garbage dumpsters, plowing the path down to the food stand. They had a shovel to get into the food stand so we could do our showings when people show up to take a look at the food stand. Plowing in front of the porta john at Boat Launch A and the one down by where the polar plunge was, they haven't come to get that yet. They should be here probably, any day now. They would, Byro should be coming to get that porta john out of there for us. But, just keeping up with the, snow removal and treating the parking lots. We did plow out in addition to the boat launch parking lots, there was a small parking lot across from where, the parents' property parking lot too as well, because that's a popular place. People, like to park there and walk out for ice fishing. So, because it's popular for ice fishermen, we opened that up for them.
There's 3 or 4 cars in there this morning.
Was
there?
Yeah. Yeah, rather than having somebody go down in there and then they wind up getting stuck. So
Right. Just to get up to speed again, Dave, what does the current maintenance crew look like? How many?
2 full-time. Yeah, I'm not sure what it looked like, back in your day.
Yeah,
but,
we pirated a lot, from down in we worked with the county maintenance back then, and we had some youth crews at that, and then even further back, we had the prison,
Yeah.
release guys there, so. So is any of that going on, beyond the 2 that you're getting other resources with?
We have seasonal maintenance workers that we have, and as far as I know, they'll be back, again, this season. And in addition to the seasonal maintenance workers, we've worked with the work release program in the past as far as, helping get the park ready for the season, like cleaning out fire rings, the hibachis in the picnic area. So we've used the work release. PCC, the PCC program unfortunately does not exist anymore. I know the park relied a lot on the PCC program for, to apply for grants.
Right,
I
exactly.
believe you got 15,000, the county had a match, 5,000 for a total of 20,000. But more importantly was the crew, the help that you had available to complete projects. Probably one of the last PCC projects that we had was when we added a kitchen to the Agnes McCartney
Oh, okay.
pavilion.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. You have to keep a crew, have enough work for a whole year, so.
Right.
But from what I remember, that was one of the last projects that we had, when we had, PCC crews.
Were we able to keep our crew this winter? Did they go downtown or?
No, they've been here, they remained at the park, and there's plenty to do for them. They do understand, I mean, if Larry, the maintenance director, calls them.
What are their names? What are their names?
The maintenance staff?
Yeah.
Howard Smith and Jack Herman are 2 full-time maintenance So yeah, I mean, if they're called upon to report to Larry for assigned duties for snow removal, then that's what
Right.
they do. They report to him for snow removal. If they need a hand downtown with with the parking lots, that's what they'll do. But yeah, they've remained with us for the winter season over there.
And you did get work release approved for the spring from the
Yes.
prison board. So we'll
Oh,
have
okay.
individuals, yeah, we approved it a few months ago.
Yep.
And what does the park ranger team look like?
Well, there's actually 2 divisions now. I believe they were just seasonal park rangers. At one point, we decided to, separate and have like a Ranger 1, which is, primary enforcement, and then a Ranger 2. Not that Ranger 2s don't deal with enforcement. I mean, they look to try to gain voluntary compliance. Ranger 1s, they require a little bit more experience, Act 235 certification. The one Ranger 1 that we have has his Act 235 certification with firearms. He does carry a sidearm, but then he works a lot of the night shifts. And then we have another park ranger too as well that has Act 235 certification with firearms. That ranger started pretty late in the season last year.
And what are their names?
Mark Janner and Tara Strauss. And then we have other Ranger
Oh, it's not
twos.
Bernie will be gone.
He's covering the office for us today. I brought him today, Missy's off. And then we have, Mike Pasco works for us as a seasonal park ranger. And we have, ones that work the booth, and they strictly work the booth.
Okay. Thanks for the update.
Before we go too far from a little bit of boat mooring and park maintenance, we talked about the stands to put kayaks on at the boat mooring areas.
Uh-huh.
Because the kayaks are taking a mooring spot, and I mean, we could basically put 6 or 8 of them on a little, they have them out at Tuscarora and stuff, I see them.
Yeah, I did look at,
Not a big deal to install them, and,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I did look at Boat Launch B, and, I think, probably one of the best location will be, next to that covered bench there, where it'll be closer to the dock area, as you're coming in, closer to the road.
By the bathroom?
Yeah, but kind of, behind the bathroom, down from the covered bench, would probably be
Oh,
a
I
good
see, yeah,
location
okay, in
to
that
maybe put-
area back there.
could we be able to rent them as mooring spots also?
Exactly,
Get 8 of them
I think they
on a
fit,
stand.
I think the ones I looked at had 6, they fit 6 each.
Right.
So if you did 3 of them, we actually used to have 18, there was 18 spots that were by the boat rental years ago. We don't have them anymore, so, in fact, I think when you look at Boat Launch B, it starts with number 19, so if we put 3 in there, you could have, one.
Make up those spots we lost.
One
Yeah,
for
they
18,
would,
one through
they
18.
would get a
yeah.
return on investment
Oh,
very
yeah.
quickly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the kayaks are just, the reason you see so many kayaks that are taking up mooring spaces is because it's just been a surge. I mean, it has really exploded over the years
Yeah.
as far as kayaks and recreational boating. Recreational boaters, I think right now outnumber the fishermen, to be quite honest
Yeah.
with you, from what I've seen over the
I
past
agree, I'm out there,
5
so I
years.
see that, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's something that the guys could whip up in the shop over winter and then in the spring break ground and stick them in,
Yeah, and it would be in an area where it's not really obstructing the view. I know a lot of people, they just like to sit there in the parking lot and look
Right.
out over the lake, so I did look at that, Earl, and that would be my recommendation. If we were to put the kayak racks in, I would put them, next to that covered bench, kinda going along that mooring road there. And it would be close enough to the dock area
Right.
too.
At both boat launches, you would put them, or?
I would just do it at Boat Launch B. Yeah, I would put 3 of them at Boat Launch B.
Uh-huh.
Boat Launch A's, as
Right.
far as finding a good
Congested
It's
location.
kinda tight there.
It is, and
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
parking,
Yeah.
the parking
Oh, yeah.
is, that parking lot gets jammed, that
Right.
gets,
Yeah, well, that's, phase 1, you see how they're going,
Right,
and
right.
then go from there.
Yeah, and we've had, last year we sold out of boat mooring spaces, and there's been, quite a few people called, when we were sold out, that we're looking for.
Yeah, we could generate some revenue with them, and paddle boards are very popular now also, you know.
Exactly,
I think people would take them home, but
right.
I have a blow-up one in it.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. It's like a hardboard.
So under,
Unbelievable.
boat mooring, we're talking about maintenance and boat mooring, and we do need to, and I talked to Scott Chrisman, the Waterways Conservation Officer, about, plans to cut the brush along, Boat Launch B. It's getting difficult for people to get in and out, with their boats from the shoreline, so, he gave the blessing on cutting the vegetation there, the brush, down at Boat Launch B along the mooring road there, where we have the mooring road, and there's some, little bit on the other side too, on the parking lot side. Now the cattails, there's not much we could do about the cattails, but, some of that brush we could maybe, cut it and make it a little bit easier for people to, to get in and out of their mooring spot. And, we also talked about putting stone down once, the weather cooperates. It's been a while since we put stone down. Where it gets muddy underneath where they put the boats.
Right.
We put stone down, it kind of keeps the weeds down, and it keeps, it's less muddy and it's more pleasant for them. So we talked about doing that too as well with the boat mooring spots. Treadles, we brought the treadles back to the shop, and they need to be gone over. It's been a number of years since we've done that, but, just to oil them and grease them up. Springs, I know one of them wasn't working right, so they do have to work on it, replace the springs. One's kind of bent out of shape, somebody drove over it, believe it or not. So, you have to,
Believe it.
you have to, work on them and, give them a good, a good work over, and then, put them back in place. They get,
Oh,
beat up
gosh,
pretty
yeah.
good over.
They're original, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're old.
Yeah, maybe we'll sharpen them.
Two things, I don't know if it would fall under park maintenance, but, as I said, last year I was very concerned about the amount of salt that Summit Hill Borough puts down and PennDOT going into the lake. And this morning, as I was coming here, I see a core drill at Dopiro's gas station on top of the hill, and that leads me to believe there's some kind of issue going on with fuel loss or something. Why else would they be core drilling on and he's teetering on going out of business, it seems to me, and, if there's a fuel leak up there, it's gonna directly go right into the lake, because everything from there flows right into the lake. I think that's something we ought to be aware of what's going on up there and kind of monitor the stream. I don't know what would be the,
You talked to Danny?
I didn't, I just noticed it on my way here.
Oh, but I mean, would you talk to Danny?
I'm afraid to talk to Danny. I mean, Danny's not gonna be upfront with whatever,
Yeah. He's on my CSIDC board, so.
Maybe you could say
Could
something
talk
to him. But I know he's hurting there at the store, he's not keeping regular hours.
Yeah.
Some nights he's closed
I
at
noticed
6 and
that,
some
yeah.
nights 8. It's like the writing's on the wall.
We did look at, mattresses. Missy got me an order for, how many mattresses we need for the upcoming season. The guys are out and, took a look at the cabins. So, they'll do that every 2 weeks, go out and go through the buildings, just make sure everything is all right. And we did get an inventory from them as to how many mattresses we need, so Missy had ordered them. Some screen doors, we gotta bring them back to the shop and fix the screen doors up too as well. And we talked about those window cranks too at the last meeting. Some of the windows just, they're no longer opening and closing
Right,
properly.
yeah.
So, some fine tuning to do.
Yeah.
Under park security, I do have information here on a park ranger boat that we're gonna be looking to acquire through the county's P-Corps loss control prevention grant. And the county commissioners had discussed that, and you know, agreed to look into a new boat for the park rangers, so, you know, we have it kind of nailed down to the, you know, the make and the model that we're looking for. I have the information here if anybody wants to, you know, wants to take a look at it, but we're looking at acquiring a ranger boat for the park rangers. In addition to, they need a motor and a trailer, and, you know, we're talking about getting, you know, updating our safety equipment too as well. The throwable devices, throwable cushions, as well as new life jackets, and new safety equipment, a rescue step that, you know, you can use for people to make it easier to get people into the boat if we have to get somebody into the boat. And so it would include safety equipment too as well.
Would that be an additional to the current one as well?
No, this would actually to replace
Replace
the current one, yeah. It would have an electric start, you know.
Oh, okay.
And the steering wheel, you know, wouldn't be the tiller steering.
Right.
That would have a 25 horsepower motor on it. Similar to what, you know, kind of similar to the same size that we have now. But just kind of like more of a modern upgrade. Lifeguards, we did talk about lifeguards, we're advertising right now, you'll see it in the Times News. Started February 1st, and the ad runs till the end of April. We're just gonna run it straight through to the end of April, and, you know, hopefully we get our positions filled, 6 positions to fill. I did get a call, it was, you know, promising phone conversation I had the other day. An individual from Lehighton, he already has his lifeguard certification, already has his clearances, so, you know, kind of he's one step ahead of the competition. It is hard to find places to get training to begin with. Now with the pandemic, it's even harder to find the training. A lot of places aren't doing the in-person classes. I have been watching for Penn State Hazelton offers lifeguard courses, so I've been, you know, kind of checking on that every now and again, as well as the Greater Valley YMCA, which is the Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton area, to see if they, you know, check that every once in a while to see if there's any courses available in case we get phone calls and somebody wants to be a lifeguard but doesn't, you know, have the training yet. We will accept the applications, you know, if they don't have the training yet, they just indicate on the application that they're pursuing the lifeguard, you know, certification. And then I kind of keep in touch with them. But so I did get, you know, one promising lead so far. And again, the advertisement's going to run until the end of April.
I have a question on that, and then we'll go to the commissioner. If they push through this minimum wage to take effect in June, like they're talking, that would mean the lifeguard rate would go from 11 to like 16 an hour?
Yeah, but what I saw is on legislation, it was like over 4 years it would go up. Now, on 4 January, last year we took all lifeguard positions up to $11 starting. Matter of fact, on 4 January of this year, all positions are earning at least $11 an hour. And I think we had a couple who were not, but everything is up over 11. We are concerned with any legislation because, again, that pushes a lot of people up there. It'll be a budget.
But the last I saw, if this goes through,
Yep.
which I guess they're gonna do this federally, you know, by resolution
Right.
again, then they're looking at $12 an hour or something, right, by June or
Or
July
something.
1st or
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
Which means,
Everyone would slide up. And that creates other problems because,
Yeah.
you know, now you're impacting, you know, you have supervisors who might be only getting, you know, that. So everyone
Right.
kind of has to slide up when things like that occur, unfortunately, you know.
Does it include seasonal employees or are seasonal?
Well, the minimum wage, the federal government sets a minimum wage, and we're gonna have to comply. You know, we're gonna have to comply regardless of where it goes, you know.
The only other thing under park security, we talked about the ice fishing. We've had people out there for, you know, the past 2 weeks, probably about the past 2 weeks, there's been people out ice fishing. Now it's, you know, every day you'll see people out there ice fishing. I don't know if you've read about the deer situation at the boat launch, so we did have a situation where we used our ice rescue equipment. Wasn't a person, fortunately, but, you know, there was a deer that, you know, got itself into a bit of trouble. Somebody was at the boat launch, called it in, the game commission, and I responded, and we had the Summit Hill, you know, fire department come down to give us a hand. You know, they got the deer into the shoreline, actually, and threw blankets on it, you know, tried to warm it, and it was, you know, about a 50-50 chance as to whether the deer would, you know, would make it or not, and, you know, unfortunately it hadn't, but, you know, I thought it was a good, you know, good training exercise, you know, for the, you know, for the fire department, for all of us,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wanted to, you know, send a thanks out to the Summit Hill Fire Department. Franklin Clock here with the Environmental Education Center, he was there also as well. So that was a, you know, that was an interesting, interesting thing. That was, you know, a first for us.
Mhm.
And, that was all I had under, you know, park security.
Special activity requests.
We don't have any requests. I do have it's under correspondence. You have a packet to take with you to review. It's a proposal for the Keystone Backyard Ultra. So that information is, we're not looking to make a decision on that now here today, but, you know, that information is to take, you know, with you to review, and see what we think about that. It's a 24-hour racing event.
Endurance event, right, endurance running event, right?
Yeah, it could go 30 hours.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I think it's like 4-point-some miles that, you know, you have to run in under an hour, and then there's a little bit of a break, and then you gotta do it again. And if you don't make it in the, under the required time, then, you know, you're out of the competition, and it keeps going until there's one, you know, one person left. So that would be running, I think, you know, from what I remember reading, it's, I think, 6 a.m., you know, starts like early in the morning, and it ends the following day. There's an outline there where they're, you know, where they're proposing to run. That would have to be adjusted, I could tell you that, because they can't run from boat launch A over to the beach. It's, you know, it's just not feasible. We have, that's all blocked off.
Also, out onto the dam, if it's inclement weather, that'll wipe out the vegetation on
Yeah.
the dam.
Yeah, we had,
Now, the renegades, they do, I was surprised that the Fish and Boat Commission allowed them to do that, but they did run across the dam and back. But see, the difference between renegades and this is that was a day event that lasted, you know, a few hours. You're gonna have people running during the day and at night in the dark, which I guess, in talking with the individual, they wear those, you know, headlamps when they run. One of the sections of trail there, I don't have it in front of me, but the one is it's a rocky section. It's down below Camp Apple Tree.
Board bottom.
It's not called Board Bottom, it's called something different on there. But that section of trail there, I could tell you, is, you know, that's not like a smooth trail. It's, you know, it's rocky and washed out in certain sections, and it's kind of like a connector trail, you know, between you know, the orchard trail that runs by Camp Apple Tree and the switchback trail.
a little history. Back in the day, we had, the X Games wanted to come in with technical riding on the switchback, and we, the board, denied them because they would have ripped up
Yeah.
the natural terrain. So what I would look at with this is, you know, to Earl's point, and like, you know, the wear and tear on the natural vegetation, like, but do they have any other precedents where they run these, where we could reference or at least check with, you know, how they do this? And
Well, they originally, and you'll read the information in there, you'll see that they were talking about parking in Slatington. So they originally were planning to do this at Lehigh Gap Nature Center. Now Lehigh Gap Nature Center, for whatever reason, you know, backed out of it and didn't approve it. And
Yeah.
from what he told me, it was because of concerns with the environmental impact.
Yeah, and do you talk to them? Maybe you can.
I didn't talk to Lehigh Gap Nature
Yeah,
Center
to
yet.
see, you know, maybe, you know, find out their reason.
Mhm.
But, you know,
With all the trails we have, they shouldn't need to get off.
I mean, we had Dave Booker, you know, contractor on Bike Weekend for years here as well, and we were always rescuing somebody somewhere, you know, so it's the liability up at Glenanoka, they didn't respect the, you know, the terrain and the like, so I don't know the liability of these, so. But it sounds, you know, are these folks established, like, Ironmen and qualified, and, but I'd be curious to find out, you know, why the other
Right.
place denied it.
Yeah, and you'd have to have somebody monitoring the traffic, you know, at the main entrance, you know, even through the night, you have, you know, people going in and
Right.
out of that boat launch
Yeah,
area.
And people just regularly hiking, you know, there, do you close it off for them? You know, do you make it exclusive for their gig? So there's some questions
Mhm.
here, I'll read it.
And that's, you know, take it with you and, you know, it's for review and, if anybody has any thoughts, you know, they could, you know, contact me at the office and I didn't give him any time frame. He asked how soon, you know, we would be able to make a decision, you know, and I didn't really give
Probably
him,
next
give him
meeting.
an answer on that, you know.
Couple, you know, we're just talking about, there's other things that came in, just food for thought. One, the last thing we did before I left in '99 was the cabins, but, we've had, people like this come in for frisbee golf. And frisbee golf is now taken off, that's one thing I regret we didn't, you know, look at, it was more finding a space for it, but
Right.
it is pretty popular now even for a 9-holder. And at Dennis, we wanted to do an equestrian trail across the lake as well, we looked at that, but it's too rocky and the
On the
like.
other side.
Yeah, we've been looking at, you know, what can we do over there, but it is tough terrain, you know, so.
It's this May 22nd, is that
That-
Memorial Day weekend?
No, it's actually the weekend before.
Before, okay.
I believe.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. But close.
Yeah.
And, you know, the park will be busy for sure, yeah.
And these people will all, since they can't go down there, they'll wanna park up here somewhere then.
But the parking there, I think it says the beach area is where all the parking and everything would take place. That's where they would start. And I was reading, and I went on their website, it was talking about a day course and a night course and different colored flags, you know, whether it's day or night. Now that I didn't see in their proposal to us, anything about a day course and a night course, but, and I guess each participant would have their own, like, easy up, like, you know, with the table there and.
So you can get us some information from Lehigh Gap, right? Till the
Yeah, I
next
would be
meeting.
able to call out there and I'm sure they would be,
Yeah.
you know, they would let me know why what their concerns were, sure.
Yeah.
So I'll do that.
And what's in it for us, you know, to host that, that's a question.
Yeah, he has in there about donations, I think at the end.
Well, there'll be some restoration work on the dam falling
Yeah,
out.
it might go to maintenance, you know.
Dave, if you could also ensure when you speak to them next, that they reach out to JTTA, Jim Thorpe Tourism, and CCEDC. Again, just to bring them into the loop, because, you know, Rick talked about, you know, what's the benefit?
Right.
Well, the benefit is beyond Mock Chunk Lake Park, it's Carbon County, it's economic development. You know, so I'd ask if they haven't, you know, just kind of poke them a little bit and say, hey, have you spoken to JTTA and have you spoken to CCEDC about that? That'd be great, appreciate that, yeah.
And then polar plunge, the only other thing was the polar plunge, it went well. They always do a good job coordinating the event and organizing the event. They had 66 plungers.
That's great, it was so cold that day.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it was roughly, I know their permit, you know, said they expected about 100 people, but it was approaching 200, if not a little bit more than 200 people. We did set limits on how many people they could have there. That was based on the Department of Health guidelines. as far as the square footage of the area. So they, I think it was 280 people, was the limit as to how many people they could have there for that, that event, for that specific area. So, they were well within that, and, I think it was their best turnout from what I read in the paper. I can't remember how much they raised, if it was over $6,000.
Yeah.
It was over
Wow.
$6,000 that they raised, for Marion Catholic High School. Reverend Alan Hoffa was one that did the plunge. He's the one that, signed for the special activity agreement, for the sponsor. They did have the Jimthorpe Fire Departments there, to cut through the ice, and also to stand by, in case somebody needed assistance. So, and St. Luke's ambulance was there too as well.
How thick was the ice day?
Well, there was, a couple ice fishermen snuck out on me, and, I was planning on taking a half a day that day, and, I was locking the gates as soon as it was over, and I looked, and it must have been when I checked on the boat launches, somehow they got out there on me. So I waved him in, and, I had asked if he could park over at the office, since he was set up, he could stay where he was, but to move his car, because we were gonna be locking it after the event.
Oh, there you go.
So, but anyway, I asked him, how thick is the ice, and he said 5 inches. So, they say you need 4, but I would be, now where they cut for the plunge, I don't know how thick it was there, but I would imagine probably somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, they were right on the edge.
Do they have a heater or something when they come out? Is there, they just?
They go into they use the first aid station.
Oh, the first aid
There's like
station,
the heating and
okay.
changing room, yeah, and then there's the
Okay.
men's side, they have it, split down the middle.
Okay,
The men's side and the women's side.
okay.
And, they use that for the warming station and the changing station. During a normal event, I think Oil Fuel Company would be there with, they had the big, big heaters on the beach, and, but it was kind of scaled back, a little bit this year. We did have signs, staked in the ground, for social distancing, to remind people to wear masks and to social distance. But yeah, the event went really well, no problems or incidents. And then the only other thing under correspondence I had was it was a thank you letter from EOS Therapeutic Riding Center. They thanked us for the donation we donated. We do this every year for them. It was a 2-night midweek cabin stay, and that was a thank you from EOS Therapeutic Riding Center. I read that here as well.
Is that it?
So I had,
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Probably moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.